Shalom. Assalamu alaikum, my friends. It's Khutbah time. Khutbah. You want me to give a khutbah? A khutbah is a sermon. I'm going to discuss Prophet Muhammad and his concept of fighting, to take up the sword, to fight against the infidel or the kafir. I'm going to show you the proper translation of this so you understand why Khorasan, why you must fight right now. You understand? Fight right now. Not waiting later. No, it's now is the time. And I'm going to prove to you in a proper way that you can follow it without having guilt. So you have these terrorist organization. Now I have my shoulder is acting up, so I am taking my medicine. This is a time for me. I can relax today. I don't have anything to do. It's raining outside. You want to see the rain? It's pouring down rain. So I don't have anything to do outside. It's raining. It smells like onions all outside. The onion grass is growing. It's onions is all around in my backyard. I have onions growing wild all over. So my whole backyard right now smells like onions. So it's raining, so we have nothing to do. So I decided I'm going to give a khutbah about fighting with the sword. Why the sword? Why are we fighting with the swords? Put it here in case I want to pull it out and do something dirty. Right? Don't fuck around. I have reason to take the sword. I have reason to lift the sword. If you want to be like me, you have to listen to this khutbah. So, we have terrorist organizations like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, Houthi, and Taliban. Fuck them. Okay? Now you guys are thinking in your mind, you're Muslim. And you're thinking that, okay, so the ISIS and Taliban, they're Muslims too. So what is causing them to do what they do? It is their interpretation of the Word of God. It's always, for a human being, you have to understand, when a human being is going to act, to perform, it's the Word of God that is performing within that vessel. Always the Word of God. So you and I are like books that will be read one day. Our life story. It could be told by our children who tell their children who tell their children, your great-grandfather was like this. Right? We ourselves are a book, and the Word of God is in us. Now, if the Word of God is in you, and you are dirtying up that Word, you are corrupting it in a wrong translation manner, then your action, your attitude, that which is coming out of you will be full of jinn, foul corruption, deeds and works, to be corrupt, to be foul, not just because it's not a proper word, right? So this is ISIS, Hamas, Houthis, Taliban, Al-Qaeda. This is all of them. And they believe that when they're reading the Quran, First of all, the problem that they have. Now I want everyone to understand something. I don't hate these people. I don't hate them. It's the same with anybody that has been tricked or misled. If God has allowed them to be misled, then they have been allowed by God to be misled. They still are living vessels of God. Therefore, God is still in them. That means they can repent. There's still hope for any living person to repent and come to the full truth of the Most High God. The full glory. Not just a little half truth and half bit of it. The full glory of Him. That's what you should strive to find. The full glory. And I'm going to tell you about it. So I don't hate these people. They're just backsliders. They are like Pharaoh. They're hard heart. Their heads are hard. Right? They have been brought up since a child in these ways. It is hard when you're a child to be brought up. Think about in the land where you live, in Khorasan. For 20 years, America was with you. So at 20 years, you got to taste a different life, a better way. Then these radical terrorist organizations rise up and they take from you your freedom. And they oppress upon you their concept of a religion which consists of laws that are used within democracies. So, you had a taste of it, the freedom, the unity, doing what you please, what you want, trying to struggle in doing right, even though you have freedoms to do things, you always struggle to do right. So now they have oppressed you into this way. Now you have to think that the children who were first introduced into a way of living in 2003, 4, 5, 6, these people, 20 years pass, these people have now reached another age. They are accustomed to their way of life, and now they are being oppressed by a whole new regimen, a whole new law, a whole new different thing, right? And it's very oppressive, and these people can clearly see it. But you have no way to fight against it, because that which you are being taught in your religion is keeping you from picking up the sword. And how I say this is you are being taught false Islam. You're not being taught the true Islam. Lamb. Islam. The Lamb of God. You can't have a different foundation. The foundation that the Most High God has gave from the beginning was that He would give a seed to a woman, and this will be His sacrificial lamb that we accept for our sin, and we repent, and we go to paradise. That's the beginning. You can claim all you want in a religion and say, Allah takes up no sons. Allah takes up no sons. It's in our book. Yeah, it's in your book. But you don't have the understanding of who Allah is. And why a prophet would speak of a spirit. Think about that for a minute. Muhammad is a smart man. You think a smart man is going to say spirits can make seed in the manner of as flesh? He would not say Allah takes up no sons if he's not speaking of something else. That the spirit, Allah must be something else. And it's clearly written in the Quran that Allah's spirit and Allah's word are inside Isa. He dwells in a ark, a living temple that is spoken into existence. God, Yahweh is inside the Holy Isa, unblemished, pure, no sin, holy of holies. You can be a holy man and still be a sinner because you're struggling with God. You're a priest. I'm a Kohen. I'm a priest. I'm a Imam. I still am a bad man. I'm a sinner because I'm still sin. I still struggle as anybody else. I can be holy in my struggle, but I can never be holy of holies because I have stain on me. Only one is holy of holies, and that is Isa, the living ark of the covenant, in which, like the old ark, the staff and the word were in the ark. The same with Isa the living, the word and the spirit of Allah is in that man. Therefore, when Muhammad is talking about Allah take up no son, he's referring to the flesh that Allah dwells in, takes up no sons. Because you have to understand the Taliban translation is wrong. Because you're saying that the spirit has form, and that's against the teaching. Allah has no image. He's spirit. There is no image and form of Allah. So when you say that Muhammad is saying that Allah has no sons, you're trying to say that Muhammad is saying that Allah has an image. So you're not interpreting the truth proper, and they don't realize this. That's why I defeat them in their interpretation. That's why I'm giving you a truth that you are able now to pick up the sword and fight against them who are lying about the truth. And the reason they're lying is so they can oppress sheep and control them, have power over them, using fear. God doesn't use fear to control his sheep, you fools. He has free will, choice, freedom, love. He doesn't do what Taliban and ISIS and them do. So what's he talking about then? What's Muhammad talking about? Allah has no son. Allah he talking about is Yeshua. Because the Gnostics, the old Christian, they used to come out and they would tell stories that Jesus didn't die. He got married to Mary Magdalene and took up kids. Muhammad, knowing the truth because he's in the family of Khadijah, Fatima's mother, and their uncles who were all bishops in the religion of the Injil. They are the people of the book. Khadijah and her family are people of the book whom come from there, move in. It is even stated that Muhammad, who was Arab, intermarried into the Khadijah family, which was non-Arab, Bani Israel, and he is Bani Hashim, and he intermarried. He knows the story of Jesus' crucifixion. He knows it. And on top of it, he knows who Jesus is. He knows Yeshua, Isa. Muhammad knows him. And he knows him as the Son of God as well. He knows him as the begotten, light, the only word. That's why his Shahada is, there is no God, there is no word but Allah's. There is no spirit but Allah's. There is no truth. There is no way. There is no other lamb but Allah's. And I am his messenger. You understand Shahada now? But you have to understand that when he's speaking of the word Allah, when you say in the word Allah, you cannot say he takes up no sons because he's not the flesh. And when Taliban teach this type of stuff, they are trying to teach a false doctrine that Muhammad never taught. He never, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, Assam. I am giving a khutbah about the Taliban and ISIS to correct their translations so that Khorasan can understand it greater. There can't be another story line, you understand? From the foundation of the world, we know what God, Allah, had given and planned. He gave His plan to Adam, He told it. He said to Adam what would happen. It's in the Torah. If you change that word from the beginning, you start to change that word. Wa alaikum salam. You're speaking in Pashto or Farsi, which is Persian. I don't read. I can't read. I can only sometimes speak, but I can't read word. You have to write in English with me. You know, the hadith is I am in America because all religions are in America and we all speak English. I'm not going to be Arabic. Okay. You're speaking Arabic. Marhaban. Ahlan. So, you have to understand that in your hadith, everybody thinking that I'm going to be Arabic and I'm going to be in Saudi Arabia and all this. How can that be a true hadith for you when the other hadith is, when I'm awake, the Muslims are going to sleep. And when the Muslim wakes up from their sleep, I am going to sleep. How can the Mahdi live in any nation in the Middle East when such a hadith exists? The only way that that hadith can be fulfilled is if someone like me who lives in a west, the sun that rises in the west, I'm here. My time zone is different than yours. How I speak Arabic is when I go to Google, I can get on my phone and I can read things and speak it and you'll understand it. In any language I can do that, in any tongue, because of the technology and the time that we live. I speak German. Okay. Sprechen und Deutsch. Alright, sprechen und Deutsch, German. That's fine. I speak a little. Not a lot. I speak learning, like 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. I speak in numbers and in different things like that. But as you can see, I'm trying to explain the hadith. Your hadith is, you hear me speak in languages, but that's not my tongue. And it doesn't say that I can even understand you. When you speak to me, I don't understand you. The hadith is, I have to be here in the West because this is the Mecca of the world. Mecca is not the Mecca of the world. Who goes there? Only Muslims are on there? That's not the Mecca of the world then. Where's the Mecca of the world? Where do everybody want to go? Where's everybody want to see and live and experience what? America. That's the Mecca of the world right now, is America. And everybody in every religion and every race and every culture from every flock and fold are in my land. And everybody in my land, even though you're different race and culture and religion, we all speak English. That's your hadith for you to understand something greater that is happening. So if I change the world of America and all the religions unite under these words that I'm saying in America, which is the great Mecca, what do you think is going to happen to everybody else around the world? You have to change. You'll have to change and be like what is happening in Mecca, in the Medina, which means the big city, where I live in the big city. I'm 2 hours away from the biggest masjid in America. It's called Dearborn, Michigan. It's the biggest masjid in America. I'm 2 hours away from there. Where I live, I'm 2 hours from it. That's going to be a hadith later in time, you'll see. They will want me to come there. You'll find this out. So back to our storyline. So in this understanding, let me take a little medicine for my back. So in this understanding of the Word, and how the Word is in us, and how they're teaching a false doctrine about Isa, saying that Isa's not God's son. Yes, Spirit gave birth to Word, which spoke and said, let there be light, and Isa is that light. So where did Isa come from? So if Isa came from God, directly from God, God himself, Allah himself spoke him into existence, what's that to make Isa in a manner? That's God's son. So when you give seed, it come from you. It's not another man's seed. It didn't come from some other guy, did not get your woman pregnant. You did. So whose son is it? Is it your son or is it someone else's son? Oh, it came from you, that means it's yours. So where did Isa come from? That means it's God's. It's not like flesh, because God is spirit. But when God's speaking, he's creating. So God speaks and he create. You got to fuck. You got to sexy sex for you to create. Manner of life. Allah don't do that. That's what Muhammad's teaching you. Allah does not need to take up sons. Allah makes them by speaking them into existence. Isa, when Isa raising Lazarus from the dead, it wasn't Isa as the man that did it, but that which was inside him, Allah himself, is the giver of life. He makes things life. So when Isa's praying to God, he was doing it for the benefit of the people to see him doing it. But he already, like in his word, he said in his word, I am praying for the benefit of the people, so they see me praying to you. But I know that you will answer anything I ask, you will do and perform. Because Isa and the Father are one. They're in accordance. Isa knows Lazarus is going to be raised together up. Isa knows this because he and the Father, Allah, are one. He's just going to perform glamour hands and a fancy thing, praying and showing you his priestly work, so you understand what he is as a priest. That he is asking the Father for something for us, and it's going to happen. Because if Isa asks for it, it's given to him. Fact. Anything the Son asks is automatically given. Now, back to the thing where he's talking, saying that he takes up no sons. This was the Gnostics that taught this. This was not Christians that followed the true Injil. They always have known that Jesus died on the cross and got taken back to God. No true Christian will tell you Isa got married and has babies. They are liars, deceivers. And Muhammad knew that. That's why he tried to teach you that Allah takes up no sons in the manner like you and I have sons and daughters. He does not get married. But to understand that context, you must understand that if Muhammad was speaking of Allah directly, the Spirit Father, that phrase of the Quran would not make sense, because spirits are not flesh. We all know that Allah is not flesh. Right? So when he is speaking that cannot be what he's talking about. He must be talking about the form that Allah entered into to make babies. And that was Isa, the only form that he ever entered into in that manner. So when Muhammad said Allah, he's speaking of Isa. They're one. You can interchange those words. You can that is his name. You can call him Allah, You can also call him Yahweh. You can also call him Yeshua, because that's his name that he gave to Moses when Moses visited him at the fire. Moses told him, "You know me by El Shaddai. You know me by El Elyon. But I'm going to give you a name to take back to Pharaoh, which is Yahweh. I am that I am. But I also have another name, Musa, that you don't know me by yet. No one knows this name yet. What is it?" He tells him, Yeshua, Jehovah, which is the same interchangeable word, is Yeshua. That's Aramaic, Yeshua. Isa is the Islamic terminology for what they want to call Yeshua or Jesus. See the manipulation of words, but it's always the same meaning, the same person. Even though you have different words, it's still the same guy. So you want to call God Yahweh? You want to call him El Elyon? You want to call him El Shaddai? You want to call him Allah? There is only one God. It does not matter what you call him. You're speaking of the same thing. So when Muhammad is speaking of Allah in this manner of taking up sons and daughters, he's telling you about Isa, Yeshua, who's also known by Allah. This is a fact. So when he says that, that is where the Taliban try to call Christian names, because the Taliban don't even understand their own book. And they want to go around doing jihad based upon a lie? You don't have proper interpretation to go around giving out fatwas. And on top of it, these guys aren't even Sayyids to even be giving fatwa. I give fatwa. Only I am allowed to give fatwa. And that's a fact. Yet I see all of these imams and ayatollahs running around thinking that they are legally, by according to law, able to give fatwa. And they are illegally doing it. That is against Islam, and they have no right to give fatwa at all. Only I can do that. That's a fact. So, all of the Taliban and all of these Houthis and all of these Hamas people, they have been bred from their generation to hate Christian, even though the Christian has the proper interpretation. Their group that took over Muhammad's flock after they murdered him started to teach lies inside the doctrine of Islam because they wanted power and control. You know, who controlled Jerusalem at the time? The Christian. Who wanted it? The Muslim. So how are you going to go and fight against the righteous people if you have the same story that Muhammad? Muhammad would not have been fighting with Christians. He married into them. So use your fucking head. Why is this group claiming to be from Muhammad's flock now all of a sudden lifting up sword against Christian? That don't make sense. You understand? So now you clearly see the group that took over the flock and their radical views, and then they rewriting the Quran to fit their agenda of their way. They needed a reason to call the Christian infidel, so what did they create? They took a translation of Allah takes up no sons, and they manipulated it all with a big lie. And when you hear my truth, the way I'm telling you the actual way it went down, you now know for a fact that what you are being taught is a fabrication, a lie. That's not the truth. The same way Moses did not turn sticks into snakes. That's not a true story neither. Everybody in that fitna. Everybody's in that fitna. Let me take my medicine. So from that understanding, you have the proper interpretation now of why Muhammad said Jesus did not get married and have sons and daughters. That's what that means. Now that you know that, you have a view that is much cleaner. It's more halal than the Taliban view. The Taliban is so najis, they don't realize they're dirty. They stink. We need to hold them down and spray them with Zamzam water. They're so stinky and najis. We need to hose them down with Zamzam. That's a joke. But why the sword? That's the main thing. Why Muhammad pick up the sword then? Who was he fighting? You hear all the stories. The teachers, the ayatollahs and the imams, they teach you that Muhammad picked the sword up against the Christians. No, he didn't. You fucking lie. No, he didn't. During the time of Moses, when they were traveling in the desert, walking around in the desert, there was a group of thugs. We call them marauders. We can also call them Nakash. Or serpents, Nagas. In India, Hindi, it's Naga. And these were people that would come into the camp and rob and steal from you and take your food. And they did it by the edge of the sword. They forced the Israelites into giving them their goods and services. Stole from them in the desert. So the meaning of the biting of the serpent upon the hills of the Israelites, it was not snakes. Not snakes biting you. It was men that were wicked, that did foul deeds, stealing and killing and raping, that were biting us. So God said, lift up the serpent, the bronze serpent, which is Isa. Again, Isa. Lift him up, and whoever looks upon him, this serpent, bronze one, will be healed. Why? Because it gave them a reason to fight back against those marauders. What you doing is stealing. And that's a commandment, thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not lie. Thou shalt not... all the commandment. These people are not practicing it. And they're coming here stealing off of us. Claiming to be good people. So the same thing that is happening now in the Islamic world is you got these radical terrorists that are rising up in religion. Look, man, it happened in Christianity. Before Islam was around, the Gnostics were the ones that we would call Taliban. Like the Christian to the Christian, Gnostics are Talibans. You understand? They're not teaching the proper word of God. They're teaching Jesus got married and had sex with a prostitute, Mary Magdalene. They had kids. They even make movies about it in Hollywood. They do. That is the Christian's Taliban. So for the Muslim, you have to understand, if you believing in the truth as well, there's only one truth, one way, one light, one word, one God. You believing in this, you understanding clearly, you should see who it is that is your Taliban, who it is as your Gnostics, your liars that are in your religion. Because of the doctrine that they teach, the lie that they teach is not in accordance with the Christian and the Jew that came before. They were given their book and their book got corrupt. How they get corrupt? Well, you see what the Jews did? They hung Jesus. That's how they corrupted their book. They rejected the Messiah. And then the Christian came along and they tried to lie about the Messiah, saying he got married. That's where Muhammad tried to tell you the corruption of their books. But that does not mean they're all corrupt. I don't believe that way. So don't call me corrupt. I know the truth from the beginning of the foundation. Even though I don't call myself in your religious names. I don't practice your dead man graves. Right? So in the teaching, even in those days, in Muhammad's flock, which was small at the time, he had people as well that were Arabs, thugs, that were robbing his flock, the people following his word, and they would beat them and rob them. Meanwhile, they were polytheists. They were worshiping many gods and bowing down and kissing statues as well. Everybody does shirk. There's nothing new under the sun. It's not the shirk that gets you in trouble. It's the belief, the way you believe, that gets you in trouble. Right? Shirk is found everywhere. That's not the problem. That's not the main issue. The main issue is the interpretations of the teachings of the Word. That's the main issue. So even back then, thugs, marauders, serpents, snakes, nagas were infiltrating Muhammad's flock of his encampments and were robbing and stealing off of them, just like the days Moses had to deal with. Muhammad's having to deal with the same thing. So what did they do? Why, they picked up the sword. Now who is it that they were fighting? They were not fighting Mu'mins, nor were they fighting Kafar. They were fighting what they called infidel. Now what's an infidel? An infidel is not a Christian or a Hindu. An infidel is not someone who's not Muslim. That's wrong interpretation. Who's telling you that an infidel is a non-Muslim? There's only one God. Even though there's many different names of religions, they're all worshiping the same God. They're all struggling to practice good ways. They're not infidel. They just have a different flock, different fold. Their shepherd's the same, and so is the Word, and so is their God. So what makes an infidel an infidel? Well, that's those guys, like I say, they know the truth. You have spoken the truth to them. They reject it, and they want to continue in sin, or they want to follow and continue in being an atheist, not believing in God altogether, and do violent acts towards you. Or the infidel is someone who is an outright atheist. They don't believe in God. You're making it up. I don't believe you're God. I spit on all your gods. All of you make it up. That's an infidel. And since these infidels, like in our society, you want to say, what's an infidel in our society is someone, for instance, and I don't want to say it in a manner for you to think that, oh, it's okay for me to be violent towards these people. It's not okay to be violent towards anybody at all. The only time that we got violent back is when you were told to leave us alone. We have nothing to do with your ways or your people. Leave us alone, or we will have to defend ourselves. So the infidel would not listen, and they kept bothering the mu'min, the righteous, the jihadist, the Israel, those who struggle and try to be good. They kept bothering us. So Muhammad called them, these guys are infidel. They're like donkey. They don't even understand when someone says, leave me alone. Leave them alone. But they don't. They want to keep pointing the finger and keep poking you. Well, then I'm going to poke back. So the Taliban are the same as an infidel. They keep poking. They have their way. Okay, you want to do what you want to do, go do it. You can't force your way upon somebody else. You're not Allah. Nor did Allah ever force Adam and Hawa to obey him. He gave them free will, and they chose to disobey, and they got in trouble. Never force any sheep into any shirk business. So, the infidel that Muhammad is talking about is that kind of person. So let's say, for instance, we go to the homosexual. We say to the homosexual, look, man, You want to be homosexual, fine. You have the liberty, you have the freedom from God, you can do it. In the privacy of your own home. You can't bring that out in the assembly. The assembly is the people. And the assembly is designed for God. So in the assembly of the people, it's what governs the people. God's there governing his people in the assembly. Your deed of what you do cannot be brought into the assembly because it's sin. It doesn't matter any of your belief or what you think is right or wrong. You can't bring it into the assembly of God because what we have been given from God is what we are supposed to be guided by. So God says don't kill. That's our law. You can't bring in to the assembly some other kind of thing to say, well, we can kill if this happens. Or if that, no, don't kill period is in the assembly. Outside of the assembly is your liberty and your freedom. But you're supposed to be struggling and jihading to do proper judgment with measure to make decisions upon fatwa. And you don't have that authority, so you're not supposed to be doing any of it anyway. So when a group, let's say for instance we have the homosexual, they keep bothering the righteous people. You want to be gay, you can go be gay. I'm not saying anything about it. I'm not judging you. I'm not hating you. I'm not doing anything wrong to you. That's your choice. You go do it. Now, when you bring it into the assembly and you try to get other people to join in with you, or you try to teach in some manner of your philosophy of why it's okay for you to be something that Allah has declared an abomination, don't bring it into the assembly or you're going to be dealt with. Do you understand how I'm speaking now? You don't teach foul deeds to the people. If you want to do foul deeds, you go do it. You'll be judged by God in your manner of your heart and your deeds on your day of judgment. It's not up to me to judge you. I can tell you keep it out of the assembly, though, in our democracy. I can say we don't legalize marriages of homosexuals. If they want to do it, that's fine. But we're not going to acknowledge it in the assembly as a godly character. Because it's not. Now, if you don't listen to the assembly, and you keep trying to force your ways upon the people, you're asking for trouble. That is like a man trying to break your door down to come into your home to rob you. You going to just let him kick your door down and rob you? No. You're going to confront the man. And if the man don't leave, you may have to get rough and tough. And if he still don't want to listen, we may have to take off his bodily part. You understand with these people? That's why we call them infidel. They don't listen. It's like they don't have a fucking brain. They don't understand proper measures of judgments and truths and righteousness and deeds. We're all sinners. Everybody is still sinning. We all know this, including myself. But we also know, true mu'min, true believers know, you don't bring that shit into the assembly of the people. You don't try to weasel your way or to try to explain why you can do your sin. We don't need to hear it. I don't need to know about it. Don't bring it to the assembly. Keep it in your own house. Now in America, they're trying to force it in schools, to have books to teach children of perversion in school. That is a time we need to pull the sword out and let these people know, you don't bring that foul, nauseous shit in the assembly where kids are at in school. Now, are you going to listen, infidel, or do I have to pull out the sword? If you want to go do your drag show, you want to go be a fruitcake, you want to go do your sin, go. Leave people alone. Go and do what you do amongst those that do what they do. But don't bring it into the assembly of the fucking people. See, I'm not in the assembly. I'm way, way outside. I'm watched the assembly march into the house of God. I always watching the assembly, what they do. And I notice that the assembly changes every once in a while. By what they're doing, how they act, what they're allowing in the assembly. And the assembly, for you to understand, is your religion is like your assembly. Your religion is what has created your democracy of how you view your laws and how you want your laws to be conducted amongst your people. This comes from religion belief. So if you allow things into your religion that are foul amongst the assembly, to weasel its way, to try to deceive, to dajjal its way into a philosophy or an ideology of it's okay to be this manner. And I go get the doctor, Nakash, and the doctor says, they're born this way. That's not what the Word of God says. That's what you're bringing in your imagination, so that way you can feel comfortable that you're committing sin. Sin should not be comfortable. What is wrong with you? You cannot blush? You not blush anymore? You have no embarrassment of your deeds? You're not embarrassed? That's a shame for you not to be embarrassed. When you do such foul acts, you should be ashamed after that. It's sins. If a man goes and he's stealing, he should be ashamed of his steal some money from someone. He has guilt in his heart. Your own spirit makes you shamed. You're rejecting the spirit because you don't see the shame anymore in your action. You have completely rejected the spirit. That's a great sin. Now here you got the guy, he's doing bad deed. But he come to the assembly. And he doesn't bring those deeds. Instead he's bringing his heart and he fighting, jihading. He wants to repent. It's hard for him because of how he's born, the way he's born, the things that are surrounding him, the things that happen to him that make him the character he is now. So the man, for a while, 10%, gave his greatest fight in the assembly and jihaded and did not bring his foul deeds in the assembly of the people. Now the assembly is over, he go back home. He tries to struggle a bit, but the jinn are just too overpowering. And he backslides. He falls again. He has to wait for the next assembly. You understand now how this works? The guy who's an infidel has given up on the spirit, and now he just practices lifestyle openly, no shame, no embarrassment. He's listening to the doctors, the teachers who are guiding him in the lie because they profit off of him in some manner. You understand how I'm getting into this profit business? This is why people are allowing certain things in America, because they're profiting from it in some manner. Even though we, the people, are starting to get fucking pissed off, because the more you bring this foul shit in our assembly, we're going to have a civil war against you. And that's when we picked up the sword. Muhammad didn't go around killing people who were sinners. It was how I'm teaching. They're bringing it into our assembly. They're fouling up, dirtying up our assembly. We cannot have that. No nation can survive if your assembly gets fouled. You collapse. You get overthrown. Look what happened in Khorasan. You got overthrown. Oh, it was fine. You were doing good when you had your brother there. You're doing good. America helping you. You're doing good. You have no worries. You have a rope that is made of 2 twines. So you feel strong. The Taliban can't do their radical bullshit. The Taliban, because there's different radical ideologies. Some people are very radical in their belief of zeal. They think they're holier than everyone else. So they want to kill you just because you're sin. You smoke a little hashish. Oh, you're an infidel. No, that's not an infidel. Even I smoking. I believe in God. I don't worship hashish. I don't call to hashish. No. I have a reason for it. I smoke for a medicine. So don't accuse me of being drug addict when you don't understand the truth of why I take a medicine. Now there are some people out there who just do it to get high. And that's wrong. That's not what you use it for. But they have not been taught the truth of it yet. They're young, dumb. Eventually they'll learn. Life is like this. You don't go around forcing things. God will guide whom He wants to guide. He will bless whom He wants to bless. And He will curse whoever the fuck He wants to curse. It ain't about you, man. You got no say-so. So leave God's sheep the fuck alone. What we are for in the world is we are supposed to help and love each other. So I have a friend. He has a bad sin. He struggles all the time with it. I love my friend. I hate his deeds. He knows I hate his deeds. But he knows that if he was in need and he needed help, he could come to me for help. Because I would do and want others to treat me the way I would want to be treated. And I would want to do that to other people as well. That's the golden rule. That's how you understand the difference between an infidel and a follower. Now you could be a follower and still be a kafir. See, that's another word. We'll get into that later. Kafir and infidel are separate things. So we have clarified what the infidel is. The infidel is someone who knows the truth, but they're rejecting it because they like to feel good in the things they do. Alright? That's the infidel. They knowingly know they're going to go in the encamp. They know they're going to steal. They know it's wrong. They know it don't belong to them. They're just going to go do it anyway. So Muhammad said, no, we're going to fight against you, motherfuckers. And that's what Khorasan needs to do. Fight against Taliban and their ideology. They think they're right in their teaching. Teach them they're wrong. Show them they're wrong. Speak it. Live it. Do it in the assembly that is wrong. But you also have to live in this manner where I'm saying to you, you have an alcoholic in Khorasan. He loves God. He praises God. He just has a sin. He likes to drink. Should we beat him? No. Should we whip him? No. You only... when they're whipping, for instance, in the Quran when it says they're whipping the women. These women that they had gotten were infidel women, meaning the marauders had their wives, the marauders kept bothering them. The women that were the marauder's wife, they were like women of ghetto taunt. They taunt you. My boyfriend going to get you. My boyfriend going to get you, bastard. Wait till my boyfriend come home. And her boyfriend is a wicked thug. He a wicked man. Drug addict, drug dealer. He don't care who he gives drug to. He'll give it to a little kid. And the kid going to get sick, go to the hospital. There's different levels of degrees. Proper judgment using the proper measure. Not all drug dealers are the same that drug dealer that sold to the little kid. Some drug dealers will never sell drugs to little children. They're not infidel. They have a code of conduct. They have some kind of character to them. The infidel is just a pure asshole who has no character, no moral, no nothing. He's the one that the girl going to say, my boyfriend coming, he going to get you. They like to have trouble. They like to be in the village and fight and cause arguments and blah, blah, blah. That's them. You know the type. You know the person. You got one in your own village, you know it. Right? Everybody does. This guy come back. He going to go out and beat up the people that the girl said beat them up. Beat them up. Go beat them up and take that woman's... I want her dress too. Get her dress. She's too fat. She don't need it. She a fat girl. I get it. That's Daesh, ISIS girlfriend. Speak like that, right? Now, the guy, after he do that, they go back home. We lift up the sword. We hear about what they do. We go to them. We've had enough. These infidels, they not listen. They won't leave us alone. They're ghetto bullshit. They're like the American gangster in America. The American gangster, the thug, the blood, the crip, the African American gangster, what they like. Now, we've had enough. We're tired of them. They walk across the street slow, on purpose, with their pants hanging off their ass, as if they're special or more holier than thou. Everyone knows this type. You understand? It's this mind frame we're talking about here. This infidel mind frame. So they get tired of it. They pick up the sword. They go. They slaughter every male in the camp. Only ones left are women and children. So we took the women and children back with us. They're going to be ours now. To the man, I don't have a wife. We don't have any girl here, so we're going to invade them. Now I got myself this girl now, this infidel girl. I'm going to teach her a proper way of behavior. She ghetto. She hard-headed. So she's going to go and act up still. You know the stories of the Quran where they get mad. Bring his wife. She won't have sex with me. Or this or that. All these different weird things. You understand. So in the Quran they talk about this. So in it he says, is it okay that I beat the girl with a whip the girl? Yeah, go whip the girl. Now you have to understand on the context here. This is a loud mouth. This is the beginning. This isn't like we've been together for months. I just got this girl. We just got finished with our slaughtering. We killed all the infidel. Now we bring back these troublemaking girls who used to call us names from the valley. My boyfriend going to get you when he gets back, you bastard. Now I've had enough listening to you. Now you're in my house. You sit down. You act decent. You try to teach. You try to guide, right? She don't want to listen. She running off. She keep running away. Trying to find another man that's an infidel in the desert somewhere. Keep running back to the infidel. After a while, You go, they get them, bring them back. They keep doing this over and over. It's getting crazy now. Better off for me, I didn't even have the damn girl. You understand? I should have never even took this woman, because she's hard-headed. She's always going to go in the infidel way, because that's bred into her. So Muhammad said, maybe whip her. So we whipped them to teach, not as being a harsh thing. It's like your daughter. She got to the grocery store with you. Your daughter. She pickpockets. She shoplifts. She steals from the store. Puts it in her pocket. Your daughter does. You did not know. You leave the store. You get in your car. Or you're walking back home. She says, look what I got, Daddy. And she hold up some candy. You look at her. Where'd you get that candy? I took it from the store. You took it from the store? That's stealing. Now what you going to do to your daughter? You going to give her a whooping on her bottom to teach her a lesson? Yes. Okay. So when they're writing the Quran, they didn't beat women in the manner like you're thinking. It was a lesson. It's like a child. An infidel is like a dumb child who needs to be taught all over again, even though they're grown as adults. So now it's up to you. Do you want to waste your time smacking an infidel, do you want to waste your time trying to teach a grown-ass adult the proper way to act in society amongst the assembly? Well, it's up to you. Right? So for me, I would rather not take a wife from amongst, and this is the way they say it in the Torah, I'm not going to take a wife from amongst the Canaanites. Fuck no. They're hard-headed. They're wild girls. I'm going to go from my own kin, my own kind, my own flock, and get myself a wife. One that already knows how to act in the assembly. I don't need to teach her. Her parents, she had a father and a mother that taught her. I don't need to teach her. That's the understanding of the Quran meaning, man. You can't be Taliban. You can't go around, oh, look, you don't want your hijab on? I'm going to hit you in the back with a whip. Because hijab is not something for all women to put on. That's your wrong teaching. Hijab is only for those who are going to go work in a masjid. Or your father is a prophet. I don't see any prophet in the Muslim right now. Where are they at? Who's a prophet in Islam? You can't be. Muhammad said he's the last of them in your flock. So who dare claiming to be the prophet that's a member that claims to be from Islam, you claiming to be a prophet? Well, your daughter can wear hijab. That's okay. The other girls don't have to. But there's not a prophet in Islam right now. Now, who working in the masjid? Raise your hand if you're a female that works in the masjid. Oh, the Taliban won't let even the girl work? What the? Where the Taliban at? They're acting like infidel in the assembly now. They have no understanding of the truth interpretation of Quran. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of the Ayatollahs as well. I'm sick of them all. They don't have proper interpretation like me. So, the girl that's worked at the masjid, she covering herself not because a man. She covering herself out of respect because Allah is supposed to be present in the masjid, right? That's where the assembly, we're going to go pray to Allah. You're going to be clean. You're going to cover yourself. You're going to be washing yourself. You know, all the ritual that you do. Not that you need to do that. That's all shirk. It's ritual. It's shirk. It makes you feel closer to God. It's not required to make you close to God. It's just a feeling that you have. I'm going to wash my hands with Zamzam, going to wash my face, clean myself, make sure I'm all holy and clean, so I'm going to go pray to God. It makes me feel closer to God in that manner. You'll never be able to be clean. You're a sinner. No matter how much you wash the outside of yourself, you're still dying the curse of death from Allah because you're a sinner. So you're kind of wasting your time with all that ritual shirt business. So the girl go to cover her head out of respect for God, not man. If you're that weak, let's say you're Adam. You're Adam. You're Adam. Hawa. Hawa is going to be brought to you. You're Adam right now. Allah bringing you Hawa. Right now, He's on His way bringing you Hawa. So you can see her. He's bringing you right now. Here she comes. You're Adam. Here she comes. There she is. Oh, she walked from behind a tree. You see her coming out. She walking towards you. What you acting like? You horny? You got a hard on? Your pecker is hard? You're getting horny now? Whose fault is it? Is it her fault you're horny? You not know how to act around a girl? Now you're what? Who do you not understand? She's not just for sex. You have made it into your mind that is what a girl is all about. When we're young, that's what they teach us. So when your first interaction with girls, you're nervous. Your hands also, you're nervous. You get a woody. Your penis is hard now. You're horny because that's all you know about. That's all you've been told. That's all you've been shown. And it's been forced on you. You stay away from the girls. You separate yourself from the girls over here, boys over there. Why? Why? You see? You're making a weird thing about us. They're forcing a weird thing upon us. I know it's a woman. I know I'm a man. I don't have to separate myself in a manner as what they do 24 hours a day. Yes, there is a certain separation that you do. You know, go to the bathroom, get changed, dress. There is proper measure of judgment of separation. But to be a separate all day, every day, constantly bombarded in your brain, and then now when you finally get alone with you're just a horn dog? That's what happens when you keep separation. You become a horn dog. That's what happens. That's why I know when I go and I make friends with people in Pakistan, Afghanistan, in different areas, you people are very horny. You don't realize. You don't realize to me, how you're viewing sex and stuff is very, to me, is kind of, you're dirty. Like you're a little pervert. I'm not being mean about it. I'm just saying that it's true. Because of your culture, you're kind of dirty in your mind. Your minds are dirty. Dirtier than Americans, I know that. You guys are dirty. I got people that send me pictures. They send me naked pictures on my Facebook, in my messenger, sending me that. I'm like, why are you sending me dirty porn? Yeah, that's dirty. You not have a girlfriend? No, I don't have a girlfriend. I said, well, why don't you not have a girlfriend? Because your culture is keeping you from it. That's what's happening. Otherwise, you should not be sending me. I'm a man. Why are you sending me dirty pictures? You horny off me? Get the fuck out of here. Right? You understand? But this is what they're doing because I understand. I understand why you do it and where it comes from and all that psychiatry stuff about it. I understand. But back to the hijab thing. You can't say that the woman Now you blaming Allah. Look, Allah made Hawa so beautiful. She brought to you and you're going to get horny. You going to blame her? No. Allah looking at you like, look, man, look, Adam, what, I know she pretty, but look how you're acting. Clean yourself up. Come on, man. You have no self-respect, self-dignity. You going to blame her for what you're doing right now? Come on. Come on, Taliban, you fools. You fool. You dumb. And this is the truth, and everybody knows it. Everybody can see the absolute truth about it in the living. I don't need no stinking Talib student to tell me shit he don't understand. Infidel. Get out of here, Taliban infidel. That's what you are right now in my eyes. You understand? I'm teaching you the true interpretation of the Kalamat min Allah, and you want to run around like an infidel as if you have not heard what I've said. You acting like you don't know the truth. You acting like you don't understand the word I'm saying. So you still run around like a little infidel, hitting girls with sticks, putting them in hijab, telling them you can't go to school, you can't go to school. What is wrong with this man here? Taliban. And I ask this as a man to another man. Taliban, are you homosexual? You despise Hawa. Why? What has she done that you now want to be infidel towards her? You see? You better change your attitude and your action, Taliban, because you know that the people of the book have a prophecy. And the prophecy goes this way. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. And he who kills with the sword shall be killed with the sword. So see, Taliban, you're trying to put people into captivity in your infidel ways of your ideologies and doctrine. I'll put you in captivity when I come to your land. That's why I'm giving you opportunities to repent. This is time when I'm teaching. When God raises me up to bring justice upon the land. Any who led in captivity, I'm going to lock you up. Because you're a bad guy. You're a bad man. I'm not going to kill you and all that nonsense. You're going to go into jail for a very long time. So we'll teach you proper character and morality. Second, if you walked around killing with the sword, oh, so you went to Afghanistan, he was in the police force, and you went to his house while he tried to fight for goodness and freedom and righteous things of God. You, Taliban, you went to his house and you kidnapped his brother, his sister, his wife, or his children, and you threatened to kill them with the sword if he doesn't help you. Taliban, you're taking people captive and you're killing with the sword. Shall I not do the same back to you, what you have done to my sheep? You better watch your fucking asses, I'm telling you. I don't understand why people don't understand what I'm saying. I speak only the truth. The truth sets you free. And when those of Khorasan hear my words and my truth, and their spirit, their vessel, their being is set free. Woe unto you who took captives and killed with the sword, who tried to spread your radical ideology of false doctrine and devils, of demons of doctrination. Woe unto you. So you have a choice right now. You could repent and join me, or you can heap coals of fire and ash upon your head, because that's where you're going to go, to hell. When I'm done with you, you'll wish you were in hell. I'll make a spectacle. You see, I'll make a spectacle of them in the middle of the streets. Be like a public display for the assembly. You know, the assembly of the people. So you have a public display. Look at these guys. This is not how you act. You don't act like a Taliban member. This is not the way a true mu'min acts. That is not in us. That is not what we do. And when that comes to the people and they understand the Taliban, woe unto you, motherfuckers. So this is where you guys now have understanding. You need proper interpretation, so that way you're not afraid to lift a sword up against these fucking asshole liars. They lie. They're not truth. They lie. So you thought that they were holy. You thought they had the word of God, so you're scared to go against what they say. Now you have the truth. You know they are liars. And I'll have more proof coming, and more khutbahs for people to understand. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. That's when we pick up the swords. When we have had enough. Shalom.